You know, these people are so predictable.
Netflix's new true crime series Monster, the Ed Gein Story is sparking backlash for unintentionally reigniting a long-debunked myth that serial killer Ed Gein was transgender. Gein's real crimes inspired Psycho and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but this time Netflix said it wanted to correct the record. As Tudum put it, the show represents Gein not as trans, but as gynephilic, a man so obsessed with women's bodies that he wanted to be inside them. That, they argue, explains the skin wearing, not gender identity. Co-creator Nick Antosca said it was crucial to make that distinction, even imagining trans icon Christine Jorgensen telling Gein that trans people are rarely violent. It's meant to separate his pathology from trans identity. But critics say the series still blurs the line. By showing Gein in women's clothing and linking him even imaginatively to Jorgensen, it risks reinforcing the same trans killer trope horror has long relied on. And that...
Okay, I'm going to stop there for a minute because, come on, man. I was watching it. I don't know if you all watched it. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. These people you can never make them happy. Never. The LGBTQIA people. We need to stop saying the LGB part of it because it's not. It's the trans, queer, non-binary, whatever APP poo-poo, whatever nonsense there is. If you don't understand a Ryan Murphy show, then don't watch it. It's not a documentary. It's based on a story, and it's for entertainment, people. Like, all the whole Monster series they're not documentaries. They're based on things that happened, and then he wrote an entertaining show if you're into serial killers true crime is like the number one thing people watch. I knew it when I was watching it, and I knew I was going to have to make a video about this because I want to set the record straight here, okay? It's not transphobic in any way, shape, or form. Secondly, I honestly don't remember Ed Gein being sort of put into the transgender space. I don't remember that. I remember it being he was a crossdresser and he was obsessed with women. And that's why this is so important, because it's true. They separated transsexuals from gynephiliacs, which they call it or autogynephilia, which we talk a lot on this channel. And they're two different things, which I'm going to show you today, which I appreciate these people, Ryan Murphy and all of them, distinguishing the difference. And remember, it's not a documentary. It's just based on a story about this crazy dude, Ed Gein, and that's all it is. That's all it is. I don't want to blow the show if you haven't watched it, but, if you're into that kind of stuff, I think you'll enjoy it. I found it to be very entertaining and very interesting on many levels. I didn't take it as a documentary. I knew a lot of the shit in there was made up, but it's obvious. You can tell. But let me finish this, and then I want to show you something else. But I knew they were going to do this. They love to throw themselves they love to throw any successful person in that community under the bus once they become hugely successful. And of course, they're doing it to Ryan Murphy because that's just how it works. So here, let me just finish this. Oh, thanks so much for liking and subscribing to the channel. I do appreciate you guys very much.
Risk feels especially sharp right now, when trans people are already being wrongly blamed for violence committed by cisgender men, like the recent shooting linked to Turning Point's Charlie Kirk. Online, the reaction's been brutal. Some viewers are openly comparing Gein to trans women, claiming his crimes reflect a trans experience. It's a disturbing echo of the very myth Monster was meant to dismantle, because sometimes, even with the best intentions, retelling a myth only gives it new life.
So what is this idea that it's a lie that trans people aren't violent? Yeah, sure. I see a lot of trans people who are violent, and I've brought that to your attention many times. So that's a bunch of bullshit, especially today. There are more violent trans people than I've ever seen in my whole life. It's why I don't believe they're actually transsexual. I think they are autogynephilia, and it's why they're pissed about this thing exposing them. They exposed the difference between a real transsexual person, somebody who deals with gender dysphoria, wants to fix it, look like a woman or a man, and walk the world, and these people who are so mad, they don't even make an effort to look like they're just autogynephiliac. They have a fetish for being a woman sexually. So I have some really good stuff here that I want to show you. I made an effort to try to break this story down for you. So for copyright reasons, I didn't want to bring this particular piece of the video to this because I really feel like it'll be hit for copyright. So I just took some screen grabs. So this is the part when I was watching it that I knew that the trans community was going to blow up and have a complete spaz attack about it. So let me just show you these graphics. The scene starts with, he's like having this fantasy about talking to Christine Jorgensen, who you probably all know. She's like the first famous transsexual woman back in the 50s, and a GI that became a woman, and blah blah blah. She's super famous. But anyway, that being said, so here's the conversation. So it starts with his fantasy of talking to her, right? But Ed, I don't think you and I are alike. They say I killed some people. I also dug some people up. I'm not laughing. It's kind of creepy and gross. Out of their graves. This is why the trans community is so mad. The transsexual is rarely the perpetrator of violence, Mr. Gein, Christine Jorgensen says to him. We are far more likely to be, which this is true, or it used to be true, the victims of violence. I don't think deep down that you're a woman, Ed. Here it comes. This is the important part. I don't even think you want to be a woman, a transsexual woman is saying to him. You're what they call a gynephiliac, AGP. This is why they're pissed, you guys. This is why, right here. You so eroticize the female body that you wish to put it on. Hence the skin suits of women. And he only dug up women, okay, to be inside of it. This is why the trans community is pissed. That's not an identity, but a sexualization. Bam, right there, right there. I would love to know what any of this, how this is transphobic. It's violent, Mr. Gein. It's the ultimate way to penetrate a woman. It's the truth. When doing so in the traditional fashion was forbidden by your overbearing mother, because supposedly his mom was like, stay away from women, don't be around them. She was always harping on it. And like, so that literally says what the difference between a transsexual person is, which was Christine Jorgensen, and an actual gynephiliac or an autogynephiliac, which is what they try to hide in the trans community, which is somebody who is sexualizing being a female and sexualizing it, and saying Ed Gein was totally sexualizing it by putting on these female costumes. What is transphobic about that? I would love to know. But the reason why is because there's so many AGP now within the trans community that they're freaked out about exposing themselves as not transgender or transsexual, but as sexualizing women for a fetish. Bam! That's why they hate the show. They hate the show because it outs all of them. So, of course, I knew it. I could have bet $1 billion on this and won that bet. So I went to Google because it's run by AGPs for sure. Oh my God. So then I put in Ed Gein Netflix backlash from the trans community. And then it comes up, Out Magazine and other LGBTQ publication plus, I can't forget the plus, publications have led a backlash against Netflix monster, the Ed Gein Story, for dangerously, really, conflating the infamous killer's pathology with transgender identity. No, they didn't. They didn't do that. They put his identity with an autogynephilia, an AGP. They didn't say, no, Christine Jorgensen literally said, I showed you it. She said to him, You're not like me. You're not transsexual. You are what is called a gynephiliac. So on the flip side then, is the transgender community finally admitting that AGP people are transgender now? Are they admitting it? Because that could be some form of admission if you're saying that, right? Critics argue that the series, which premiered in October, amplifies harmful anti-trans myths despite the creator's stated intentions. This actually is like, none of this makes sense. First you say this, then you say that, right? This is the part that I found. Out Magazine published an opinion piece arguing that the show's portrayal of Gein promotes dangerous anti-trans talking points by misusing the psychological term autogynephilia. So how is it misusing it? That's literally what it means. So then it goes on, amplifying TERF talking points. Okay, amplifying TERF talking points. The article claims that portraying Gein as autogynephiliac repeats and validates talking points from trans exclusionary radical feminists. What? No, it actually is the real medical talking points that it does, who use the term to spread transphobic narratives that label trans women as sexual deviants. So you guys are admitting then that AGPs and trans people, so trans women can be AGP. Then the thing that you always say isn't true is now you're saying it's right here in writing. It is true that some of them are AGP and they are sexualizing women. Other LGBT plus community backlash. This is the part that pisses me off. The LGBTQ plus backlash extends beyond the trans related plot. Really? And includes the series' overall depiction of queer identity. Where? Please watch it and show me where any of queer identity is even in this. This is set in the 1950s. Where's the queer identity? What are you talking about? Just because you're trans doesn't make you queer. But you see how they're putting their rhetoric and their bullshit? I'm calling all you people out. You're so full of shit. You always have to throw in the queer thing. Where's queer in the show? Never once has it. Okay? And are you forgetting that Ryan Murphy is a gay man who has helped the gay voice get out there on one of the biggest, if not the biggest platforms in streaming, Netflix, and then you're just trying to throw them under the bus. It's just, they don't care. Once you become successful, and that man created stuff to get the gay LGBTQIA, whatever, voices out there into the media. You're just throwing them straight under the bus because you don't like the depiction of trans women. Oh, man. Okay, hold on here. It's just so pathetic. You people, I just can't. So then we got Lady Dumb Shit number 1.
So I just finished watching the Ed Gein show on Netflix, and honestly, it just makes me so fucking sad for the trans community. Like, as if they're not already being attacked every day by their own fucking government and the whole Christian community, whatever. Now we have this fucking show, which is full of hidden messages and propaganda.
What?
I think we're gonna see like a whole new level of violence against them and just fucking hate.
What? You're projecting your own bullshit, first off. Secondly, why'd you have to bring Christians into it? Okay? I know a lot of trans people who are Christians, okay? And I actually have a lot of friends who are Christian. What? This is the same bullshit, and your government is against you. Like, what?
Sorry for cussing so much, but I'm just like, this makes me so sad for them.
For them.
I don't know. The show is twisted. There were so many things wrong with the show. Okay, like we can start with the whole Nazi thing. That was fake. Online, there's nowhere you could find that he even knew anything about the Holocaust. He was not connected anyway to the Holocaust.
Are you forgetting that this is a show of entertainment? It is loosely based on a story, okay? But I have something to show you because people didn't do their research on Ed Gein, okay? So how do you know? Because it doesn't sound to me like you did your research, but you see how they're just saying shit? I'm so sad for the trans community. They're already under attack. Who are you? You're not even trans, and you're like, I'm so sad for them. You know, you should be sad for the fact that you've been duped into the lies and deceit that the left-wing ideology, trans bullshit, has sucked you into. Okay, lady dumb shit number 2.
Hey, so I am not trans, so if trans people want in the comments to tell me to stay in my lane, that's fine. But I'm wondering if anyone else did anyone watch the Ed Gein show, the new Ryan Murphy monster Ed Gein story? And if you did you feel like it was kind of anti-trans?
No.
Or at least did you feel like it was maybe not the right time and political climate to release this? It just felt like it really, really harped on the wearing women's clothing thing, which, as we've seen from the Autostraddle article and also like literally any research that you do, he didn't even wear women's clothes.
How do you
know?
know?
It's weird that they are like obsessing over it.
No, but he made suits out of women's skin. So there's that. And if you know about Autostraddle, well, I don't even want to say. That being said, no, I disagree with you. And you're not trans. I don't really care. You're allowed to have an opinion. I don't really care. You go right ahead. Doesn't make it right. And I'm just so. What do you mean the right time? So let me ask you this question, lady dumb shit number 2. Are you okay with all those little kiddie shows they're showing with Tranberry and whatever else, indoctrinating 3-year-old little kids into being trans? Are you okay with that? You're not okay with a show based loosely on an actual real life serial killer who totally made skin suits out of women and is probably an autogynephiliac, which you probably don't even know what it is. So I'm just, I swear to God. Okay, wait, I got lady dumb shit number 3 here.
I'm deeply upset about the monster series that's out right now about Ed Gein, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Ew, I don't know if you noticed that, but I just have to say it real quick. Back up and look. That this girl is picking at her piercing between and picking something out of it and flicking it. Oh, I like gagged when I saw that.
For starters, I was raised in Wisconsin. I lived there a majority of my life up until like the last 6-7 years. And I would like some justice for the story about Ed Gein. Ed Gein was not a serial killer. Say it with me. Ed Gein was not a serial killer. He only murdered 2 people, allegedly 3. It's not confirmed that he killed his brother.
Well, 3 creates a serial killer, just so you know. So how is he not a serial killer then? And I'm going to believe you over what's being said in books and things that have been written about this guy? No, not going to believe you, okay? And we can set the record straight. 100% we can. So thank you for introducing my next video.
In terms of the skin suit he made, a lot of what Gein did had to do with resurrecting his mother. But the other part of it is, Gein's fantasy about becoming a woman. We know that he avidly read stories about this ex-GI who went to Sweden and had a sex change operation. And came back as Christine Jorgensen.
Christine Jorgensen, who made world headlines when she was transformed from a former GI into a woman, is now a Woman of the Year, a title bestowed upon her by the Scandinavian Societies of Greater New York.
There was a lot of publicity about Christine Jorgensen, And Ed followed that case very closely.
I am deeply honored and most sincerely touched.
Ed Gein was also obsessed with the Christine Jorgensen case. When he was interviewed by psychiatrists later on, he did say that when he was a little boy, he did often wonder what it would be like to be a little girl.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's weird because the entire thing is filtered through the lens of Ed Gein. You know, it's still filtered through this, like, demented lens.
But he definitely was looking for sense of self, though, right?
Oh,
sure. Trying to figure out who he is.
Surely.
What is he doing in Plainfield, Wisconsin? What's the point of life? And I guess it just led to him making a skin suit.
If you're inclined or sensitive to or vulnerable to input from magazines or movies you see or stuff you read, you know, it may find its way into your imagination and then start to incorporate that into your own fantasy life. You know, I think about things like sexual identity and sort of who was this guy sexually? And I don't know if he knew, but it would seem as though he never had sex. It seemed as though his mother cautioned him that you shouldn't have sex unless you marry a woman. So, was there something sexually gratifying about this?
Was there something sexually gratifying from this? There you go. AGP, not transsexual, which is clearly the message that Ryan Murphy was creating in the movie. What the fuck are the series? What is wrong? I can't stand this trans thing anymore. Everything is woe is me. Everything is an attack on the trans people. Everything is about them. Unbelievable to me. It's just so tiresome, honestly. So with that, I'm going to say to you all that I don't believe this series in any way, shape, or form is transphobic. I think it spells it out, what a lot of us have been trying to say, the difference between what these new trans people are doing and what an actual transsexual person who just wants to get on with life, transition to look like a man or a woman, and coexist in the world. So I loved the series. I thought it was great. It's very Ryan Murphy. It's fun and I don't know about fun, but I don't even want to blow the ending for you. But that being said, just remember, it's not a documentary. It's loosely based on it. And I appreciate that they did separate the difference between a gynephiliac and a transsexual person.
I didn't decide to transition because I hated being a woman, and I don't talk about it enough. Another creator that I've been mutuals with for quite a few years now just shared his experience. I'll tag him in the caption, but it inspired me to share mine. I never disliked being a woman. I never hated it. It was never a negative experience for me. But, and Lucas explains this really well, there were a lot of things that gave me euphoria that made it very clear that I would be happier living my life as a man. But there was definitely a part of me that loved womanhood. I mean, being a woman never felt right. Kind of felt like when you're house sitting for a friend, or, you know, you're just staying in someone else's home for a while. Their home might be wonderful and beautiful and great, but it's not your home. And so there's always a part of you that just feels like, I don't belong here. Something here isn't mine. And that is how I felt in woman-only spaces or conversations about being a woman. I almost felt like an outsider looking in. Not an unwelcome outsider, but someone who wasn't necessarily part of what was being talked about. The time that I was 6 years old, I always knew that there was something different about me compared to other girls that I was friends with. And as I got older and I started testing out new things, using he, him pronouns, using the name Cade, and I realized that I liked that a lot more, even though I didn't hate my dead name and I didn't hate being called she, but it just didn't fit. It didn't feel good, you know? What? It felt neutral, right? It didn't feel harmful, but it also didn't feel good.
I am so confused by these people. How is this trans anything? It's something else, because you just said I was never uncomfortable being a woman. I didn't hate being a woman. What you hated was, I guess, being perceived that way. So there's something other things going on here for you, okay? Seriously, this is not trans. Somebody who's trans actually doesn't want to be a woman, doesn't want to be a female. You don't have a problem being a female, okay? Like, I actually would say that I have a problem being a female, and I wish I was born a man. I do not wish I was transsexual. I do not wish, but I am. And I have coped with it, and I've gotten a lot of therapy around it. It doesn't even seem to me, you guys are twisting it up. What's euphoria? I want to know what euphoria and where you guys are getting this from, because I would like to have some. I don't have euphoria with this in any way, shape, or form. And it takes a lot of grounding of understanding why you need to do this. Again, I think you're an adult. You can make these choices all you want, but the problem for me is this. You are equating what you have to what I have, which are two completely different things. So this is really what I want to talk about. And I think a lot of these young women and girls are being duped into this idea that they don't have to be a girl. They can become a man. They can cut off their breasts. They can call themselves he, they can take testosterone, but they don't have to dislike being a woman. None of it makes sense. None of it. This is all mental illness that we're not addressing. We are not addressing mental illness. We are not addressing mental disorders. We are not addressing distress in the mental space. And I really want to show you so many of these young people are twisting up this whole thing because now they go on TikTok. They're all TikTok trans. All of these people are learning how to be trans. It's not how to be trans. You either are or you're not. That's just that. So with that, thank you all so much for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for supporting these videos. And thank you for seeing what I'm trying to do here, which is to wake up young people so that they don't have to go down these spaces of this idea that they don't like being this or they don't like being that. But why? Why are we not having that discussion with you? And what does it even mean to transition anymore? Because it's not what I do or what actual transsexual people with gender dysphoria do. We actually do dislike being perceived as female and wish we were born in the opposite sex.
This little mustache saves my life. This little mustache saves my life. Because now I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, hello. Hello. Where you been? Oh my God, I am so sorry. All I had to do was put on a little mascara and like that. Here you are. Here's my boy. It's 12:12. It's 12:12 on the clock. Here's my guy. That's my dude. That's my baby. Okay? And I don't play about my baby. But finding your true self and seeing that reflected in a mirror, oh my God. It changes your life. This is changing my life. This mustache is changing my life in so many deep and powerful ways that go beyond just like, I'm just playing around in makeup. It's just a costume.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
This is my truth. And there is nothing more healing or powerful than the truth.
Okay, I got a lot to say about this. First off, thank God you're not taking hormones, and that's a fake mustache. So a fake mustache is your truth. I mean, come on, everybody. You got to see it. And then I looked, and the person, it has the hashtags trans joy, gender fluid. It's all a game for these people. You watch in 5 years when this person actually becomes an adult, mature human, they will look back on this as a fad. They're going through a phase and a fad. And it's why they're using mascara to make the mustache. They aren't actually taking the step to medically transition if they were actually really trans. I told you, on some level, I'm happy that they're just putting the costume and then denying that it's a costume. That's a fake mustache, which equals a costume, by the way. But as you know, I also think of this as a costume. I just think of it as a 24/7 costume, okay? I'm not a man. I'll never be a man. I want to be a man. I live as a man, whatever that means. All these kids, too, they all have euphoria. I'm dying to have some of that euphoria and wherever they're getting it from.
Hey, y'all. My name's Ellie. I live in Austin, Texas, and I want top surgery. I started a fundraiser a couple months ago. The only reason I knew this fundraiser was even a possibility to do was because of the other queer trans folks in Austin who have also started fundraisers for their own top surgery. Right now, there's like 4 of us actively that I know of off the top of my head fundraising for top surgery. I need $10,000 to reach my goal. I know that they also need about that much. And I just know that TikTok and our community, we can achieve this goal, not through a big donation by one person. I don't want it. I want $1 from a lot of thousands of y'all. And I know that like that is collective liberation. I know that we can do this. I think it'll be really beautiful if we can do this together. And right now I can't even post the link to the fundraiser in my bio until I hit 1,000 followers. So I think I need 300 more followers. That's the first step. Then I'll post the fundraiser link, and I know we'll get to this goal. I know it. I can't wait and to keep y'all posted on this journey. It's been so healing for me emotionally to receive the support I've gotten. Obviously, it's been great financially to practically achieve this goal, but the healing and the love that has poured in just by people donating small amounts has been more than I could have ever asked for or dreamed of even possible. So let's get this goal done, not just for me, obviously, but for all the queer trans folks in Austin who want this surgery as well. I know we can do it.
We? Who's we? Who's we? It's your fundraiser for you, number one. The culty language. You're getting loved bomb, young lady. You're getting loved bombed because they want you to join the cult. They want you to cut your boobs off. The fact that you don't even get a job to create your own money to pay for your surgery says so much to me. 4 other of you are doing GoFundMes for $10,000 to get your top surgery. By the way, let me just say something here. Top surgery is specifically relegated to surgical medical intervention for transsexual men who have gender dysphoria and want to live as men, not queer, not trans euphoria, not trans joy, not non-binary. I know some of you are going to get mad at me, but it has been and was created specifically for medical transitioning of female to male transsexuals. Now all you women are like getting these surgeries and becoming queer trans and then asking everybody else to pay for your euphoria. Like, the whole thing is so insane to me. This young lady, okay, all they want to do is cut their boobs off. Now, why do you think a young woman like this wants to cut their boobs off so bad and be trans and queer? Because some shit's going on with them. They're not getting mental health. They're not even talking about, today I went to my therapist and we discussed blah, blah, blah. None of them are, because you don't need to go to a therapist anymore. You can just raise $10,000 if each of you give me $1 and thank you for loving me for being trans. Who wouldn't want to be trans? You're getting love bombed so that you can cut your boobs off.
Finally got my first bottle of testosterone, and I'm too scared to take it. I've taken it a couple times, and every time I've taken it, I've had a panic attack. I'm feeling horrible.
Wow.
In my body every day. I feel miserable, and I have to start. I want to start now. And there's part of me that honestly I wish the dose was higher. I wish I was starting with a full dose. And I just want to get going, and I want it to happen quickly. But for some reason, every time I go to try it, I know I'm gonna start getting anxious and really scared, and I'm wondering if anyone else has had this experience. I'm
wondering why you're so scared. If you have gender dysphoria and you are going to actually medically transition with testosterone, it should be so exciting for you. Yet it's not. It's literally the opposite of that. Are you going to therapy? I bet you're not, because you should be discussing this. How are you even getting testosterone? But you're too scared to do it. And then when you do it, you get high levels of anxiety. What? This is why I want to expose to you. These people are trying so hard to be trans people. They are trying so hard. I want to take testosterone. I wish the testosterone was double dosed. No, you don't. No, you don't. I've been doing the same dosage for 34 years, and why I probably do not have health issues. Okay, many of you have a lot of, because you're slamming testosterone like it's candy. But the fact that you have so much anxiety to take the testosterone says a million things to me. It says you shouldn't even be having the testosterone in your hands.
I want to start so terribly, and I'm just terrified.
Why?
I don't know why, and I have to start. I have the lowest dose. It's the lowest dose you could possibly have. It's just the gel, and
it's gel. It's not even a testosterone shot. That even says more. I can understand if you have a little bit of fear for doing the injection, because I remember in the beginning it was kind of hard to start doing that. But you have gel. Rubbing it on, that right there just even exposes more that this person should never be even near testosterone. You are fearing something deep inside of you is telling you no. It is telling you no, I should not be doing this. And you're fighting against the actual real truth. You are pushing against it, trying to create something you are not. It just exposed it right there.
I'm scared. And I'm going to try and put it on today.
Wow.
I just don't want to have a panic attack every time I put it on. And I don't know, I'm wondering if anyone else has this problem or has experienced this and what you've done about it.
I hope if any of you have it, just stop and get to therapy, okay? It means you shouldn't be taking it. This young lady right here is fearful of the truth. And the truth is you're not trans. You should be nowhere near around testosterone. It is dangerous. It is a controlled substance. It will wreak havoc on your body unless you understand what's going on. Are you even ready for the physical changes as well as the mental changes that come? No, you're not. You're nowhere near. There's a reason why you're fearful. Your body is literally telling you, please don't do this to me. Wow, that's actually really sad. So sad how bad these TikTok trans. This is TikTok trans. It's a cult. They're all pushing each other into this. And that's why this kid has so much anxiety around it.
Hey, this is Max. This is my voice 6 years on T, 8 weeks with the testosterone vocal cord shots. I posted some pictures today that show the voice pitch analyzer, which hasn't registered any change in my voice at all. And the paperwork that I filled out before they started doing the vocal cord shots. But I will say that people who talk to me have noticed that my voice sounds better. I do have an easier time communicating like in crowded spaces. Although that doesn't include misgendering as much because that's more to my face. And that rarely happens at this point. But go ahead and check those out if you get a chance. If you have any questions, let me know.
What are you guys doing? You are insane to put a testosterone shot into your vocal cords. Nobody knows the long-term effects of this. And also, I'm 34 years on testosterone, and my voice still sounds like Mickey Mouse. I don't know what you're talking about and why you're so obsessed with your voice to take such a drastic... the last one I think I did on some guy who was doing this insane new experimental surgery, some nurses were like, are you crazy? Are you people crazy to be touching your vocal cords like that? Well, you could mess your vocal cords up and actually make it so you can't even speak anymore. That's why I never messed with my voice. Honestly, I didn't even take voice lessons because I don't really even care. Okay. I don't get misgendered because of my voice. And if you're getting misgendered for your voice, who cares? And it's, again, I'm going to keep reiterating. If you do not have, okay, balls of steel or your skin is thick, you better not even think about transitioning because you're never going to get everything you want. You're still going to get misgendered. People are still going to hate you. People are still going to think you shouldn't exist. People are still going to say stupid shit and on and on and on. And really, if you're that sensitive, you shouldn't even be going there because that's not what it's about. It's about you being happy. Are you happy? Are you okay? Okay, because if you're not happy, then of course all of these variables coming at you in the world are going to make you feel so bad about yourself. But if you're actually taking care of your mental health along with your physical health, you'll learn to walk the world and find the spaces that you're accepted in. But the fact that you guys are now shoving testosterone in your vocal cords with like injections is out of control. So out of control. I can't even believe that's actually legal.
If you've had top surgery before and your chest looks like this is my buddy Lex, and when she goes to flex, you can see that one of her pecs just looks caved in. Well, my mission 2026 for her is to give her a big, juicy chest. I'm going to make this a whole series where I document the exercises I'm using and Alexa's progress. Today,
She? That is a she. That is a woman who doesn't identify as male or trans or any, but literally has top surgery, which is a trans male top surgery to get pecs. Okay, so now these women who are still identifying as women are getting pectorals. What? That is actually so insane. And then the surgery looks insane. You're not going to fix it doing weights. You're not going to fix it doing weights. This is a total bullshit scam. You're not. It's a crappy surgery. You can't fix that with weights or working out. You're still going to have that weird, saggy, weird thing and those crazy scars. It's not going to happen. You're not going to do it unless you get some other kind of surgery to repair that puckering because your surgeon sucked. But that is crazy. That is a woman identifying as a woman, being a woman, but getting pectoral surgery. Also, call it something else. It's not top surgery. You're not a transsexual. You're a woman who wants to have pecs. I don't even know what that is. So go for it and do it. But stop utilizing trans. You guys just co-opted the whole trans space. It's so gross.
Sometimes I wish I was a boy girl, but I'm a girl boy, and that's okay.
No, it isn't. You're totally confused. You are so confused. I wish I was a boy girl, which means you wish you were born a boy and then you could be a girl, but you're not. You're a girl boy, which means you were born a girl and now you're a boy. And actually, you're not any of that. You're a woman. You're not a child. You're not a girl and a boy. You're a woman who wants to look like a man, but at the same time, you still want to be a woman. Mental health. I mean, I don't know. TikTok trans. Oh, gosh.
It took me so long to figure out that I was trans because the way that girl groups talk is so trans. They'll be like, I hate my boobs. I was like, same. They'd be like, I don't like all my curves.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. I just assumed everyone had dysphoria. I thought dysphoria was just not liking your body. And then I started to figure it out because I would say things like, do you guys ever feel like you're like a creepy boy trapped inside of a really feminine body? And then they wouldn't agree with that. Like they'd be like, what? You're being weird again. It took me a while to figure out that might be something else. And I remember thinking things like, don't you guys feel like you're conning men into being interested in you because you look like a pretty woman, but you're actually kind of a creepy boy inside of your body? What? Or you don't feel that way? No, you don't. Okay. I mean, that's okay.
Oh gosh, it's actually so disturbing. This person needs hardcore therapy. You feel like a creepy boy? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? And actually you were right at the beginning. The women's groups do sound like you knew trans people. You know, they don't like their bodies. They're struggling. That's always been a thing with girls, struggling with menstruation, boob growth, sexualization, all of it. That's exactly right. So the girl groups do. But it's so crazy that you people think because you have this disdain for puberty or for growing up that immediately makes you trans. That's the scary, sad, depressing part of this whole trans TikTok movement is that we have pushed over this growth of what happens to we've pushed over this natural progression of a young woman moving into adulthood. And we're trying to skip this part now by creating this new movement called trans. And it's why you see mostly young girls doing this, because I'm not a boy. I wasn't a boy. I'm not a man. I don't know, but they don't go through the same puberty space that these young women are going through. So now this natural, difficult puberty space that we once sort of had girls deal with and tried to help them move through it, we're now just labeling it as trans. And that is the part that is so disturbing to me, that I'm hoping more and more people start to see this, and that why young girls who are struggling so hard just get so attached to this trans narrative. Oh, I can cut my boobs off. Oh, I can take testosterone. Oh, I don't have to become a girl. I can become a man. I can do all these things. And then once they get out of that really delicate mental stage, they're going to freak out that they did all this insane, irreversible stuff to their bodies. We're not talking about the mascara mustache, okay? We're talking about puberty. We're talking about puberty blockers. We're talking about testosterone. We're talking about top surgery. It's insane. I'm sorry, but I'm going to bring this up because I really want to talk about this. So this one I'm giving you a little warning on, okay? You can stop and fast forward or watch. Incredibly disturbing. I don't get it, and I'll never get it, and that's not gender dysphoria. And if you're a trans man and you want to do that, you go right effing ahead, but you better be ready for pushback. Not only does it make no sense to me of somebody who would actually want to become a man and get pregnant, it makes no sense. It's never made sense to me, okay? The thing that I'm more concerned with is the baby. Okay, if you, whatever you want to do to your body and be and all that, 100% as an adult, but you're bringing a baby into the world, okay? And you were on testosterone because you can tell you were on testosterone. I don't care how long you took it out of your system. It still has an effect on your system, and you have no idea what the effect will be on this young baby, okay? So that's the problem I have with that, number one. But number two, what? Men don't get pregnant. Sorry. Right there. That is a woman who is acting as a man, but it is not a man getting pregnant. And it is so putting the trans place so backwards and wondering why the world thinks trans people are totally insane. Well, there you go. This last one I'm bringing up because because it's so fucking annoying.
Hey, hi, hello, and welcome back to class. I'm the History Wizard, and I have a master's degree in Holocaust and Genocide Studies. There's a genocide being committed against trans people here in the United States right now. It's been going on for years, and every single thing that the Trump administration says or does in regards to trans people is specifically and deliberately designed to facilitate that genocide. Every new executive order passed, every new piece of rhetoric flung out into the airwaves is done with the express intent of killing trans people. Or at least just causing our deaths, so they don't have to have the blood specifically on their hands. We can look at attempts by RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz to ban gender-affirming care for minors all across the entirety of this country, despite the fact that we have mountains of studies showing that having access to gender-affirming care greatly reduces the risk of suicide amongst trans youth.
So that's it. I'm done with you. You're an idiot. PhD, whatever you are, trans, whatever. You know what? You're wrong. You're completely, totally wrong. There is no genocide, and how dare you even use that word within the trans community? I've been transitioned longer than you've been born, number one. Number two, there's no such thing as trans kids, and where are all the dead kids? Okay? So that's a bunch of crap. It's that same disgusting rhetoric that you keep pushing. And when you tell a kid that they're going to kill themselves because they're not getting their gender affirming care, you're the one creating that. You're creating these kids with mental disorders. I just showed you a bunch of them. When you tell a child that they can't have something, they're going to throw a temper tantrum. And then when you put on top of it that they are suicidal, you're putting it into their head. You people are sick and twisted. Okay? Sick and twisted. I've been doing this a long time. Never have we had children attached to this. Children need to grow up and figure it out on their own, and then you go for it, kiddo. Whatever you need to do. But shame on all of you trans people who think you know better than people who've been doing it for a long ass time and comfortable and walking the world until you weirdos came along and completely stole the whole narrative and added children to it. So I don't know what you're talking about because it's all a lie. Don't listen to these people. They're lying. They have an agenda. They want kids because the thing is, if they bring kids into it, they're trying to prove some point here. They're trying to prove a point that you're born trans. No, you're not. I don't. I used to think that. No, you're not. It has a lot to do with societal stereotypes, things, what comes into your brain, all that. I don't care. I don't care how I became this way. I did, but I'm happy. 34 years, I'm happy. And that's what I want you to see. And I made the choice as an adult. I do not believe I was a trans kid. And I believe trans kids are made. They are not born. So there's that. So it's just irking me when I keep seeing so much of this bullshit. This gaslighting transgender. We're all going to die. All adults still have their medicine. You might have to pay for it out of your own pocket. Wah. No more GoFundMe campaigns because you're all a bunch of losers who can't get jobs. Okay. Sorry. People aren't going to pay for it because you guys abuse the system. Now you're going to have to deal with it.
I've had a number of transgender people watch my videos over the years, and if they're sympathetic, they'll say something along the lines of, "I'm so sorry cisgender people like you keep being misdiagnosed." Am I cisgender? What differs me from trans people? I have gender dysphoria, I have autogynephilia, I still want to be a man, I still dress mostly butch. So what's the difference? There is none.
Wow.
And they don't want to admit that. They don't want to face that this whole thing doesn't work. They have this no true Scotsman logical fallacy of, well, if it didn't work for you, then you must not actually be trans. No, technically speaking, by your definitions, I am transgender.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do something a little more serious. I ran across these videos of detransitioners or female to male to female people. Should we call them detrans? I don't know. I'm a little confused. And also, I just want everybody to know here that I do believe in transition. I believe in it as an adult space. I believe in it after a lot of mental health care. I believe it does not work for everyone. I've always believed that should always be gatekept, and I will show you why I believe it needs to be gatekept. And we have a lot of young women, mostly, or young girls, some being girls, some being women, who are being hurt by this transitional space. And I will also show you how the transgender community goes after these people in a way that you were never trans, you were never this, and yet at the same time, when they are transitioning, they're all woohoo, roses and candy, and looked at as these sort of part of the tribe. But when they realize that they should have never done this before, and then they're outcasted, very cult-like behavior, as you know, all the things that you and I continue to talk about, and I won't shut up about it, but I really want you to understand that I am in no way saying that transition cannot work. I am proof that it can work, but I am proof you have to work on yourself. You have to live some life. You have to understand it doesn't mean there are people who live with gender dysphoria their whole lives and never medically transition. That is an actual thing. I've really started to want to call it sex dysphoria, because I want to get away from this gender space, and I want to get back into why somebody like me has done this, is because I don't want to be perceived as a female. I want to be perceived in the world as a male, though I know I'm not a man, and it takes a lot of work to get to where I'm at in this reality-based space. And I think I do prove to you that it can work, but I also can prove to you that I know in my reality is that I'm not a man. I'll never be a man, and that's a really big part of transitioning, and why transsexualism needs to be put back onto the table, and that we need to separate from this transgender agenda, and that they are teaching young people that they can change their sex, and that trans is this identity, and it's hurting more young women. Some young men are being hurt by it too, but the majority of the people who are detransitioning or getting hurt by this are young women, and we know that they have so many more issues that they are dealing with, and different kinds of issues than males are dealing with. And you'll see by I'm going to skip through a couple of these videos because they're very long, and I'll put links to them so you can watch the whole interviews because they're very important. But that being said, you're going to see how they were sort of, for lack of a better word, or is it indoctrinated online through people, and why? Why would you ever want to? I don't want people to transition who don't need this. I don't need to indoctrinate you to make myself feel better, which is why I do think a lot of this is happening, because I think there is this idea that the more of us there are, people can't deny it, but the more of you who you keep creating is making it worse for your cause, okay? Because it's showing that it doesn't work. You can't just throw somebody into this because they're having body issues or all that. You need to work on their mental health before you can push them into a space that says, oh, you can look and be like this guy and your whole life will be better. It's clearly not true, and it's clearly not happening. So that first clip I wanted to start with, and here's the second one, and this is this same young woman who got caught into the whole transition space and eventually figured out that they were not a transgender person and that they were never going to be male. They were dealing with a lot of emotional problems, a lot of, I think, autism and all kinds of PCOS. And so I found this to be a very profound video, because what it talks about is this woman realizing that her endocrinologist really screwed her over. And so let me bring this up.
I want to read to you the email I sent to my endocrinologist last week. Whether or not she ever responds, who can say, but at least if I share it here, someone will hear what I have to say. It's been over 6 years since I last saw you, but you impact my life every single day and always will. In the years since I have tried to report you to APRA, I have worked with lobbyists, I have tried to sue you.
Wow.
But it seems you're untouchable. For now. You are a doctor. You're an endocrinologist who specializes in PCOS. You know full well what raising a woman's testosterone would do to her health. And I've got news for you. There's even more catastrophic side effects that I don't even put in the textbooks yet.
Wow.
Testosterone caused me to have a full-blown psychosis. I was completely detached from reality. I told you about the violent urges I was experiencing, and you just shrugged and prescribed me a different brand of testosterone.
I am going to show you, just by this one video, okay, that this person was not told all the things most people who are taking a medication are told, okay? And this person, I think they now detransitioned 4 years ago, but there are many side effects this person is still dealing with, along with psychosis from the testosterone. I never heard of that, but I'm not saying they're lying. I'm saying, wow, how come we're not talking about that?
You never, ever took care of me. You never addressed my needs or concerns. Your reports detail a patient with rapidly declining physical and mental health and a home life that was falling apart, and you did nothing.
Wow.
And when I detransitioned alone, I went through more hell. I experienced several false pregnancies in the first couple of years of detransitioning. And I still experience mental psychosis, forcing me to take birth control for the rest of my life. Otherwise, I'm at risk of killing myself. My hormones are a complete mess. To this day, I struggle to eat anything that isn't meat or dairy. My immune system is very sensitive now. And I lost years of my life to chronic fatigue that was caused by the testosterone.
This is one of the things I keep hearing from a lot of the younger generation of people who took hormones. They have chronic fatigue syndrome now, okay, on top of all these other things that are happening to them. Chronic fatigue is horrifying. If you don't know what that is, basically you feel tired all the time. And I hear a lot, Chloe Cole talks about the fact that she has chronic fatigue syndrome now due to the testosterone. I guess it's one of the side effects.
And why would you inflict all of that upon me?
Yeah.
What did I do to you?
Wow.
I was just a naive kid that trusted you to know what was best for me. I never expected that I would become the victim of your experiments.
Wow.
You're supposed to be a medical professional who understands the impact of synthetic hormones.
Yeah.
You knew what you were doing. You cannot claim ignorance.
Right.
You knew I could never become a man. Why would you put that idea in my head? And I still want to be a man. But I'm an adult now. I know physically that it is impossible. I know I feel this way because I am an autoandrophile, a term I hadn't even heard of before I transitioned.
So, they come up with these terms now, which, AGP, autoandrophile, all these kinds of things that are happening with people. I could possibly be that. Who knows? Again, I'm going to keep repeating to all of you out there. I'm happy in my transition. I don't ever feel like I want to go back. I feel very happy living in this space, but I live in a reality-based space around it. It takes a lot of time, a lot of mental health care, a lot of understanding what this means to transition, right? These doctors lie to these people and say, oh, you can be a man. No, you can't. You can never be a man. That's never going to happen. I'm not a man, okay? You can call me transphobic. You can call me all the names in the book, YouTube. You can freak out because someone's going to report this, all of it. But the reality is that I did this 32 years ago. And I'm telling you that I never did change my sex. I changed my appearance. But it takes an adult. And this person even said they did it as a young person. A young person can't make these choices. No young person can make these choices ever. You can never, ever talk me into that. It is not going to happen. Okay. I lived a lot of life before I did this. Thank God. Okay. And then I realized I just want to do this and I can make that choice. You can't stop an adult from making adult choices. Okay. And this is an adult choice.
I just needed a grown-up to help me to understand myself.
See?
Under no circumstances should I be given testosterone before I've been given the all clear by a psychiatrist and a psychologist. The psychiatrist wrote a very dismissive letter, which should not have been enough to allow you to proceed.
Wow.
And at least the psychologist wanted to see me a few more sessions before proceeding.
Wow.
But what did you do? Ignore all that and start pumping me full of drugs that I didn't need and ruin my life.
Wow.
I wasn't even sure I wanted to transition.
Wow.
I was on the fence. I had rapid onset gender dysphoria because I was living in an abusive family. No one ever asked me about my home life, not really.
Wow.
I was confused. I was traumatized. I was a closeted gay kid.
Wow.
I trusted the adults around me to go.
I'm gonna tell you, like, this is all stuff that I lived as a gay person for many years of my life, so I got to at least try that on. I got to try all the other things on. This person is telling you that no one listened to them, no one looked at their home life. Also, you know that they try to block that ROGD, rapid onset gender dysphoria. It's a real thing that's happening now, right? Abigail Schreier's book got totally like banned because the trans people came after it, calling it transphobic. It's an important book. I'm a chapter in that book because I believe it. We need to talk about what is rapid onset. Why all of a sudden out of nowhere does a young girl who likes frilly things and trucks and not trucks and Barbie doll and blah 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 all of a sudden decide they want to be a man? That's weird, and that's not. They're not showing any signs of even though that doesn't mean you're trans, right? We know a lot of these kids are just dealing with stuff. And why can't a girl just be masculine? That's the other thing. They're regressing in this gender stereotypes.
Guide me to a better future.
Right.
Well, in a way, maybe you did that. After all the abuse and torture you put me through, I finally woke up in 2020 and realized this whole trans movement is a fucking joke.
That's right.
Homophobic, sexist joke.
She just said it. Trans movement. This is not a movement. This is a disorder. Big difference. Okay? A movement means you are trying to push people. You are trying to get them to see. This is not a movement. It's never been a movement. The new trans space is a movement. Okay? That's why I continue to want to separate transsexual. But now these people in the transgender community are taking transsexual and trying to use it as well. Don't be fooled by them. Do not be fooled. Transsexual is a mental disorder. It needs to have a lot of long-term. It needs gatekeeping, adult only. It is a whole different thing than what you see in the trans movement.
And why am I reaching out to you now?
Yeah.
If I can't go through legal means to stop you mutilating more confused kids, I'm taking this directly to you. Please, dear God, I beg you, stop hurting your patients. They may seem like they want to transition. You might think you're doing the right thing, but you're not. Don't alcoholics want alcohol? Don't anorexics want to starve themselves? Don't all suicidal patients want to kill themselves? Should we just let them harm themselves? Think. Dear Christ, think for one goddamn minute of what you're doing here. You aren't helping anyone to live their best life. You're a drug dealer.
Wow.
I need you to know the devastation you're causing.
Yeah.
And P.S. You put me on testosterone and birth control at the same time. I was a stupid kid. Too stupid to understand how insane that was. Wow. I was taking 2 different drugs. One telling my body that I'm a man, and the other drug telling my body that I'm pregnant.
What?
That's horrendous. That's unethical. What did you expect would happen? You had no idea what you were doing, did you?
Nope.
I was your lab rat.
Imagine this person is telling you things that happened. I was never put on birth control, but I was actually called a guinea pig by my endocrinologist. This woman right here is talking to an endocrinologist 32 years later, doing insane stuff and not knowing. They don't know. They don't not know anything about putting testosterone in a female body. It's why I keep telling you biology matters. The things that happen when you put high levels of testosterone into a female body person, I know. I keep telling you. Atrophy, vaginal atrophy. I don't even know the long-term effects. It's supposed to affect the heart. You know, I'm very healthy because I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I work out. At 62, I'm pretty there. But, you know, I'm a rarity. These young kids aren't doing that. Many of them are obese. Many of them, you gain weight when you put testosterone in your body, okay? And it can be unhealthy weight unless you understand what that actually means, okay? So they're not even caring about that. They go into Planned Parenthood. That's a fact, okay? It's fact. And they can walk out with testosterone within an hour or less of having some kind of weird intake, okay? This is insanity. This is not okay. And it screwed this girl's life up. I think she transitioned at 19 or something like that. It's still a child. Not understanding. When you go into a doctor, you trust the doctor knows what they're talking about. But these hormone, gender-affirming doctors know nothing. They know nothing about what's going on because they have not studied us. They do not know. You would think that I would be sort of like gold to these people, yet they ostracize me because I'm telling you certain things are bad, and only an adult in an adult space can understand. I'm willing to give up my sexual space. I'm willing to give up fertility. I'm willing to give up those things because I can make that choice as an adult. A 19-year-old girl cannot make that choice about her boobs and about hysterectomies and about testosterone doing all of the damage to this person's body. It's just very sad to me that we are in this space. I'm going to bring up this next one here. It's a long video. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I want you to see this is an actual detransitioner and her mother and how she got caught into it. I think here, hold on one second. I wrote it down here. There's a lot of information there. I think she started at like 9 or 10 going online. And then here, let me bring this up.
I was always a kind of tomboyish kid. Most of my friends were boys. I went through borderline precocious puberty. I started developing breasts at 8 years old and my period at 9. In the 5th grade, I was sexually harassed and eventually it became physical by another student. That was a tough time. I started being seen as like a young lady at around 9 or 10 years old.
Wow.
When I was very much developmentally still a child. I initially discovered transgenderism online through Instagram and Tumblr.
Oh my
around
God.
10 years old.
10.
I started being groomed by an adult on the internet. I initially started identifying as non-binary.
That's the
I
gateway.
think the term that I used was demi-boy.
That's the gateway.
At 11 and a half. By 12, I was pretty cemented as I'm a trans boy. I was fully socially transitioned by like 12 and a half.
12!
When Claire came out to the family, she had been already socially transitioning in her school, and I was not aware of that. I didn't see it coming. It was really overwhelming and confusing to me. I honestly just thought, this is just another phase.
My family were initially skeptical. They did their own research online and came across the studies that said that around 80% of children with gender distress desist by adulthood.
80% desist, but those statistics, the trans movement doesn't want to hear because it doesn't align with their agenda. Remember, 10 years old, this kid is on the internet, okay? Looking at this stuff, getting indoctrinated into demi-boy. I told you, non-binary is the gateway. Demi-boy is the gateway into all of this. It actually is.
They didn't want to affirm me in the beginning.
Wow, good parents.
But shortly before I turned 13, I started seeing a new therapist who really beat them down, made them feel very small. They didn't want to be hurting me. And that's what she said they would be doing. They were told, your child has a medical condition that only has one treatment. And they were asked, would you rather have a dead daughter or a living transgender son?
There you go. That's it right there. That's the indoctrination. How dare people don't see that? How dare you trans movement do this to parents? How dare you totally manipulate and gaslight parents into thinking their child is going to off themselves and then that's it. So what do you think? We all know. What do you think any parent is going to do in that situation? Those are the gender affirming therapists. Do you see how they built this whole platform to manipulate parents and children into believing that you are trans at 12 years old? 12. Disgusting.
I mean, that was kind of a no-brainer. If my child is going to kill herself, if I don't affirm her, I'm going to do whatever I have to save my child's life.
Any parent would rather have a living child than a dead one. And
oh my God.
It was framed as though it wasn't a choice.
Where's the proof? Okay, there is none. That's not happening. God, please, it's just not happening. Okay, ideation, thinking about it, happens with a lot of kids who are depressed or whatever. It has nothing to do with just being trans. A lot, but they're not even showing me statistics of that. It's all gaslighting, and it's disgusting gaslighting.
Or I would very likely kill myself, and it would be their fault. And that was a lie.
Yep.
I was never suicidal before.
Just gross. Just gross.
In the 8th grade, I was introduced to the concept of the genderbread person.
There you go.
Through my
Indoctrination.
sex ed course. And it's used as a way to explain the concept of gender identity theory, mostly to children. And that was shortly before I began the testosterone injections. I had been...
Theory. Don't forget. Queer theory. Theory. The gingerbread man. Theory. Not fact. Theory. Oh my God. And then right before, then they start testosterone injections. What?
Diagnosed with gender dysphoria.
Wow.
I had been described by multiple leading experts in the field in my area.
Wow.
As a textbook trans boy.
What?
I started testosterone in November of 2018, a week after my 14th birthday. When they put me on testosterone, they also put me on my first SSRI. And that made me feel very emotionally flat. When my voice started dropping, and when I started getting body hair and growth in places, intimate places, I didn't really feel anything about it, because I wasn't really feeling anything at all. I did the This Is My Voice 1 month on testosterone, This Is My Voice 5 months on testosterone videos.
And This Is My Voice.
Okay.
11 months on T. So
remember, I did a whole video on that. I did a whole video on This Is My Voice 5 minutes on T. This is my voice right before my injection. It's a whole thing that they do on TikTok, right? This is my voice 1 year on T. Sounding all crazy and insane. These are 18-year-old kids. This is a 14-year-old kid, okay? Look at how they look right here. This is my voice. It's all a thing. It's all part of the movement. They even said it's a trans movement. Cutting your breasts off and having the scars. Everyone now has a nose ring. It's a uniform. They all look alike. Transsexual people don't all want to look alike. We want to fit in the world and look like a man. You and I both know I can walk down the street and no one would ever even know, ever. It's literally what a transsexual is. You don't want to be part of a crowd of a movement.
Pretty cool. And every time I would watch them, I just kind of felt
gross,
numb. I was feeling nothing. When I told them that, they basically just kept increasing my SSRI dose. By January of 2019, I had been approved for surgery. I had been binding my breasts since I was 11, and they were pretty significantly deformed. And I was having nerve pain and rib deformity and spinal pain.
Wow.
It was kind of framed as the logical next step. Like, you're having these issues from the binding, so let's just cut them off. I was pretty brainwashed at this point. I felt like this is what I needed.
Of course. Of course. She's just telling you I was brainwashed into thinking the next step is to get my boobs cut off. I don't even know. They're not an adult yet. They're not an adult.
Seeing her body language, the way that she was so uncomfortable with her unbound breasts, I think that was a turn.
Aren't a lot of girls uncomfortable with their breasts? I think so. I don't think it's relegated to somebody who has most definitely gender or sex dysphoria. I think girls just get uncomfortable in puberty, whatever you are. It's just an uncomfortable thing. You start getting this stuff. People start looking at you on some level, become sexualized. And so I think it's just a normal part of female puberty. Yet now we're sort of framing this as you must be transgender because you're uncomfortable with your breasts.
Turning point for me when I started to believe that this is something that is real and that the treatment that is being suggested, recommended, will help her to feel more comfortable.
Of course.
In her own skin.
My initial consultation for the surgery was in January of 2019, and it was a single 15-minute appointment.
There was not a lot of communication between myself and the plastic surgeon's office where Claire had her double mastectomy. I was concerned about how serious of a surgery that we were going into, and the nurse definitely reassured me that because of her age, that this would be like, she'd basically just a week later be her regular self. It was not something to be concerned about.
We scheduled the surgery for the summer between my 8th and 9th grade years.
Oh my.
School let out in May, and then June 11th, I had the surgery.
Ninth grade? Wait a minute. This isn't happening. They're not doing this to minors.
I had my mastectomy at the American Institute for Plastic Surgery, and they do drains-free procedures. When I woke up from the double mastectomy, I was very numb and very...
Do you remember this girl at this point is put on SSIs as well? Like, what for? Like depression, or what's happening here? Why are you on testosterone and that?
Foggy from the
of course you
medication
are.
And the anesthesia that I was on.
It's actual
when they
surgery.
first took the ACE bandages and the post-op binder off, and I cried. And the people in the room with me thought that it was happy tears.
Oh my God.
But I don't know. I was very emotionally numb. When I started weaning off of the medications, I started to realize that nothing had really changed. That I was still just as uncomfortable with my body. And then my nipple grafts fell off. Between my 3-week and 3-month post-op appointments, and there were just open sores, open wounds on my chest.
What?
And pretty horrible bruising. And
this is how old? 9th grade. This is a 9th grade girl. Like, what are you people doing to these kids?
Numbness.
All of this. It's literally a conveyor belt of top surgeries. You don't even need to have a letter from a psychologist. You don't need to have a letter from your endocrinologist. You don't need to have any of it now. You can literally call up online, they have lists. These trans movement created lists for top surgery. Okay, you don't even need to have any of that. And in some cases, from my understanding, you don't even need your parents' consent to do this anymore. Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to fast forward here for a minute.
For having supported her.
Oh my God. This poor child.
I cycled through a whole bunch of identities. I was a demi-boy again, and then I was agender, and then I was gender fluid, and then I was bigender.
Oh my God.
And then eventually I'm a girl. And I was always just a girl.
Can you just imagine the burden that this young child was put into? Because first off, they were on the internet. Secondly, and that's nobody's fault necessarily. That's a whole other discussion. Then they get trapped into a whole space by a bunch of weirdos calling themselves trans. And then this was probably considered an egg. Remember the whole egg thing? And then just literally sort of indoctrinated into this, I must be a boy thing because I don't like my boobs and I don't like the way I look and I don't like and then I can become a boy. And it started with bigender, then demigender, then non-binary, then it went to trans, then it went to hormones, then it went to surgery, then it went, whoops, I don't feel better. I feel worse about myself. And then the trans community is saying, well, you never were. You're just really a cisgender and you got stuck into it. And then them going against these people. I think this actual person is going and doing a lawsuit against, thank God, we need to support them all. And then it just came full circle. It just came full circle. And it's why I keep telling you there's no way a child should be in this. I have this last one I want to bring up here because I found it to be quite interesting. I want to discuss this real quick.
I'm probably not the first person to say that the pornography and social media and everything that's available on the internet now has really ruined a whole generation of kids. Their whole idea of gender and identity and sexuality is ruined. I don't know how you come out from that, but you've got these weird bullshit pointless terms like non-binary, which just means, well, I don't look like a stereotypical version of a man or a woman. Then you got demisexual, so meaning that you are not excessively horny, you only feel attraction to someone that you've formed an emotional bond with. You're normal.
That's right.
And
That's
if you're
right.
grey asexual, that just means you're not horny all the time. You're just sometimes aroused. So you're normal.
Right.
But now we're labeling these things and medicalizing them. We're pathologizing normal human behavior.
Great point. So I wanted to bring that up because this is the person from the beginning and who wrote their endocrinologist, who now transitioned back to being a girl and really is spilling the beans. You know, I do believe that the access to adult space for young people has destroyed young people's minds. I do think they're seeing things they should never be seeing as a young person. Adults, I have a different story. You can consent to that. It's your space. I don't care what you do. I do think that is another discussion that we can have. But that being said, I believe that they are pathologizing normal behavior, right? They're saying, oh, well, I'm a demi boy, whatever that, all these terms are creating all these terms. And again, I'm going to say, what is the long game here? What do they want to achieve from all this? To manipulate humans? It's actually really scary when you start to think about, like, what are they doing to these kids? And why are they doing that? And that poor parent. And what about the parents who are involved in this? And then we have all these parents of trans kids. And then what happens when these kids grow up and realize they're not really trans? And then they're going to just go after parents. And then the whole thing is so insane to me and so disgusting. And I just don't even know what to tell you. I feel so sad for these young kids. And, you know, a lot of them dislike me because, you know, I can understand why. I can take it. I'm an adult and I know why they might be mad at me. And I know why some people think I'm part of this problem when I'm not. I am not part of this problem. I've been doing this for a long time and I've been advocating for mental health care. This is the last resort, people. It's the last resort. This should never be, okay, you're transgender, boom, you're in surgery at 14 years old. Never have I advocated for that and never will I advocate for that. So in order for us all to see this, you're never going to get rid of transsexual people. We are here. We will be here. It is an adult space. It needs to be gatekept. It needs to go back into a medicalized space. And in fact, I believe nobody under the age of 21 should ever be doing any of this medicalization. Go ahead and live like a boy. That's what we used to have to do. We had to live in that sex we wanted to be until we could feel it, try it on. Oh, I hate this shirt. I'm taking it off. I don't have scars. I have none of the stuff you see with these young new trans movement people. None of it. None of it. I could take my clothes off and literally look like a dude, okay? So that's the whole point I'm trying to make here, is these kids should have never been put in this space. It is disgusting. I will continue to expose the insane trans movement that has nothing to do with anything trans, okay? It has to do with something else. It's a sick experiment on children. It's a sick experiment on humanity. It needs to all be shut down, all of it, okay? So today I'm not going to cry because today I'm pissed. And when I just see this stuff, I just get so pissed off. So I hope you're pissed off too. And I appreciate you all supporting me. And I appreciate, you know, the likes and the comments and really subscribing to the channel and hopefully introducing me to other people so we can continue to create these videos and continue to push against the narrative that trans kids are kids. It's horrifying.